Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight at Stephanie's MarshStream, one of our many programs at the MarshStream, our broadcast platform, the Marsh's broadcast platform. So thrilled to be here tonight. We have Marga Gomez. If you'd like to donate something, support the Marsh during the time when there is absolutely not a single ticket sale, please go to our tip jar. No donation is too small. No donation is too large. You can find it on our website, www.themarsh.org. There'll also be links in the chat room. Also, sign up for our newsletter so you can get, you'll know what's going on. All right. So now I want to introduce Marga Gomez. She is one of the very first Marsh performers. She's been performing so many shows since then, 13 since then. She's a stand-up comic. She's a movie person. She's everything. And I'm so glad she's here. So let's give a great big hand to the magnificent Marga Gomez.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have I unmuted myself successfully?
I can hear you, so I think you were successful.
Yay. Hi. Hi, everybody. I'd like to raise my glass for the Marsh. Like, what is it, like 30, 40 years? 30 years. 1991. I should know it.
It's 150 years, and actually it's 1989.
In performer years, yes.
Yeah, like dog years, performer years, real years. So tell me something, Marga.
Yes.
You know, remember, you were the very first person. Nothing's working on my computer. There it is. You were the very first person, do you remember, to be on the Marsh's stage. You did a workshop of your first solo performance, Memory Tricks. Is that true?
That is correct. I want to just make sure, because we didn't actually have a chance to check my levels. Should my microphone be turned down a little bit, or is it okay?
I think it's okay, but producers, what do you think?
I think she sounds like the voice of an angel, perfectly pitched and beautifully volumed.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks. As I go on, I get louder. But okay, now I'd love to talk about this, Stephanie, because it was just quite so amazing. So the trail that led me to you was Josh Kornbluth and stand-up comedy. It was, I believe, it was 1990, on the cusp of 1991, and sadly, my mother was ill. And I had been doing stand-up comedy since the early 80s, and I met Josh Kornbluth in a comedy club, and we both are from Washington Heights in New York, and he's a sweetheart, and so we became friends. And then he told me how he wanted to do something deeper and richer than stand-up. Nothing against stand-up, we all love it, but he wanted to tell stories about his amazing life. And I said, gosh, I really would like to talk about my parents as well, because I was the only child that my parents would ever have, and they were in Latino show business, and it was a part of history that is not represented in theater. So I went to see Josh's solo show, and he was working with David Ford, and so he said, why don't you work with David Ford? And I know these people from the Marsh when you were at Beano. And I had actually, I could have never done it, except that I got a call from the Solo Performance Festival out of UC San Diego that was starring Anna Devere Smith. I shared a dressing room with her. And they called me thinking that I was already a solo performer. And I said, yes, I am. I do solo performance, of course. And then I knew that I wanted to really talk about my mom, because it's very hard to be a comedian when you're grieving, because that's what Alzheimer's is. It's a long, long grieving process. And then after they pass, there's the other grieving process. But I also wanted to write about the glorious time of my mother. And so I knew that that's what I would do for the call, but I didn't know how exactly. And then the next call was to David Ford, where we started working. He actually came to my apartment. That was when David Ford made house calls. And he just asked me to tell him everything I remembered. It was pretty much a solo performer working with someone like David Ford or any of the other. Now I worked with David Schweizer quite a bit and worked with a few amazing directors who kind of know how to deal with us solo performers. And it's a little bit like therapy. And so then the Marsh hadn't opened yet, but I had to do my gig in San Diego. So I got to perform. I think I was the first performer there was no paid audience, but I was the first person to put my feet on the stage at the Marsh at Cafe Beano, although I believe that you also had moved there from Hotel Utah. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know what kind of claim. I guess I'm just sort of 10th on.
No, see, Cafe Beano was our first full-time space. When we were at Hotel Utah and then Morty's, we just have one night a week.
Okay. Yes.
You were the first full-length performance we ever did.
I love it. And since then, Stephanie, you have been there for me, and I have developed, I think, I'm on my 13th show, which was canceled. It was going to open at Brava, and it was canceled. It was supposed to open on March 13th, which was, of course, I think the first official day of shelter in place. But I've done and it's still on, that show, but I've done I've developed 6 solo shows at the Marsh. You probably know them all, Stephanie. I can rattle them off for you if you like.
Would you mind doing that for me? Even though I could do it, I would rather you do it.
Well, from my excerpts, I'm going to do 3. I'm going to do 2 pieces that premiered at the Marsh, world premieres at the Marsh. And then I'm going to do, if there's time, I'm going to do a little bit of Spanking Machine, the piece that, was Rona'd, as we say in the biz. And that was, I did a couple of Monday Night Marsh, which they're amazing. And I'm so glad they're still online. But the first piece I did was in 1991, I believe. I could be a little bit off on the year. It was Memory Tricks. And that was the piece about my mom. So I lied my way into this festival, shared a dressing room with Anna Devere Smith. She was very, very nice. I was kind of bouncing off the walls. And then I came back to the Marsh, and we did, and I was really worried because I had been a stand-up comic since the mid 80s. And then, so I had a following, being an out lesbian Latina comedian. I had a great following in San Francisco. And then I was really worried, like, can people really handle me telling a story that sort of has a very emotional aspect to it? And they did. And that's when I learned, as you already know, how much people need to hear about human stories and how you think, oh, who's going to relate to me? And it's like, if you tell the truth, and it's from your core, everybody does. So that was Memory Tricks. That got picked up by the Public Theater, got reviewed in Variety and New York Times and blah, blah, blah. But the San Francisco run was really amazing. I think it was extended. It was always sold out. It always started a little bit late because of parking on Valencia Street, which just gets worse, but still worth it. It's better if you have a bicycle. I'm not a big fan of the bicycles.
Before you go on to your next one, I remember that. We used to sell out every night. Do you remember this?
Yeah, we had no place to put them.
And the reason it would start so late is because when we would sell out, I would move the box office out of the back of the theater into the cafe, and we put more chairs in. That takes time, Marga. That takes time. Did you know that?
I understood it, but it was something, and I tried to tell all the angry lesbians, But no, I totally understood it. And so thank you for clarifying that. It was not, it was, it was all that a small nonprofit successful theater could do when they're packed and sold out, is
Yeah.
just try to shove them in there.
And that's what,
Yeah.
and I remember one more thing I wanted to mention. I was working that time at Merritt College. This had just started. This wasn't enough to pay. We weren't making any money. So I would go to Merritt College where I was teaching I was running the learning lab at the time. And what I would do is I would bring the cassette tape from the tape recorder with all the reservations. And that's what I would do at my job is
the tape recorder, you mean the answering machine, just so.
Answering machine. Oh yeah.
For the young people who are listening. Yeah.
Right. I'd take the stuff, the cassette from the answering machine and put it in the tape recorder. And that's what I would do at my job, is write down all of Marga Gomez's reservations. And we went completely overbook, and I used my math skills. What percentage could I overbook and not have to go into the cafe, just to the door of the cafe? So
because people didn't have to pay with a credit card, because I don't think we had credit cards back then, or I don't know exactly. People could just leave their phone number and their name, and they had a reservation.
Exactly. Okay.
And here we are again.
It doesn't matter. We can have as many people as we want.
Yeah, just hit that tip jar on your way out. Yeah.
Okay, so after memory.
So all right, so real quick, I know I tend to go on and on. That's why I'm a solo performer. So it was Memory Tricks, which really changed my life. And so that was about 28 years ago. And it actually had a revival. Did you come to see me at the costume shop at ACT? I did.
Of course I did, Marga. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe I just dreamed it, but yes, you were there. And it was really amazing, because I don't even think I had a video of it or a script. And I just kind of used my memory tricks to remember it. Oh, I did. I had a VHS of it. So, and then, but from 1991 to now, I developed Lovebirds. I did there. Oh, I actually workshopped. No, actually, there's more shows that went through the Marsh that, were coming here and there, and always stop at the Marsh. Pretty Witty and Gay. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
That one I officially premiered at, I think, Josie's Cabaret, but I did a first ever look at it at the Marsh, the Monday Night Marsh. I think it was called the Monday Night Marsh back then. And I had just written it, and Stephanie doesn't like us to read from the script, even if it's a work in progress, because she feels that the audience appreciates just seeing you, just try it. And so I had little index cards, little cheat sheets all over the stage as I did like my 15-minute preview. And I wound up getting excited, and I kicked, and all my cheat sheets fell everywhere. So I had to just do the rest of the show on my hands and knees. However, in that audience was someone who was booking the Whitney Biennial. So if I hadn't performed at the Marsh that night, I wouldn't have that credit. Performed at the Whitney Biennial.
You did? You did that? You performed it on your knees, or did you perform it standing up?
Well, I started performing it standing up and then moving, and then I kicked the cards. So then I just was like, I would get up, find them. But
no. How did you perform it at the Whitney?
That would be so avant-garde. No, I did it on my feet. I did. Kate Bornstein was in the audience that night. Remember Kate? She's doing great work. I also did a show called Not Getting Any Younger. I was going to do an excerpt, but there was just, there was too many things I wanted to do that have Marsh roots. But that was my highest rated San Francisco Chronicle show. I finally got the little man jumping out of the chair. Often, and I'm grateful, he's applauding, or they. Maybe I'm going to make them non-binary, because now we have Lily as the. So yeah, that could be any gender. But that one, Rob Hurwitz reviewed it and just gave it. He just loved it. There's always a little there's always a little room for improvement in the from my reviewers, and this one was just like a gem. And so I did that one. I revived that one from, I think it was 2009, 2010. And then I revived it and I performed it in Marin before this all happened, this pandemic. Also, I believe that I really developed, Lovebirds, which I'm going to do an excerpt of. That premiered at the Marsh. That also premiered in New York at La Mama Theater. And Los Big Names, not quite sure. It premiered at the Magic, but there was a lot of stage time at the Marsh to develop those big names, and that went on to off-Broadway. Long Island Iced Latina, which was a story about my teen years, being assimilated in Long Island. And and you know what? I can't even list them all. We don't have enough time.
Okay. Well, one more question, and then maybe we'll have you perform some, because people are waiting for you to perform.
I'm ready to perform.
The chats. Well, maybe just go ahead, because they're really talking about when is Marga going to perform.
When is she going to stop talking and start talking? Okay.
Well, I think they're more worried about me being here. They just want to see you.
All right. Let me just get another drink of water. This is the thing that I've learned from performing on Zoom and seeing myself played back, is I make this annoying sound every time I drink water. Like, I can't just drink water. I kept it inside. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. All right. It was 1991. I had no idea that my life would change and I would go on to do solo performances, solo biographical performances. So I'd like to start out with an excerpt of, let me see, I don't go crazy with the time. I got a clock here. Okay, good. We're not so bad. When I see the number 8, I'm going to stop. Obviously, I need glasses, but I'm also a performer. This is an excerpt from Memory Tricks, and it is a scene. I think it's self-explanatory, but it takes place in my childhood. It begins in my childhood. One day after school, I was up in my room, and I was working on a book report about Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables is a role model to many Latina girls. And I heard my parents talking downstairs in the dining room. And since it didn't sound like they were having a fight, I figured it was safe to go downstairs. I heard my mother calling me first. Marga, come downstairs. We need to talk to you right now. We just need a momento. You can do your homework later. And then I heard my father call me. Miss Gomez, darling, would you come downstairs for a momentito? Now, when you're 7 years old, a momento, or in English, a moment, isn't a lot to ask of a child. But if it is really hell of a long time period your parents are going to rope you into, it's ironically called a momentito. My parents were in show business. She was a dancer, and her stage name was Margo, the Exotic. And my father was a comedian, and his stage name was Willie Chevalier. And I was the only child that they would ever have. Oh, together. My father adored me. I mean, both my parents loved me, but my father adored me, and he would have all these nicknames for me. He'd call me Captain, Lieutenant, Chumpy, my little girl, Miss Gomez, would you kindly come downstairs? There you go, darling. Your mother and I are having a discussion, and we want you to answer our question. You see, my parents were having a debate over who was my favorite parent. Please, sit down, darling. Siéntate aquí. We want to ask you, Marga, who do you love more? Me? Daddy? Your captain? Your fiancé? Or your mother? Now, darling, it's okay. Take your time. Think it over. Whatever you say, He's okay. Just look into your heart, your corazon, and tell us what you think. Seemed like a good idea, but then I saw my mother. Marguita, you can only pick one. Now tell the truth. Tell your mother who you love the most. Are you going to pick a man who couldn't get out of bed for your first communion because he was out all night with his garbage friends? Cállate, cállate, Cheva. I'm talking now. Are you going to pick him? Or are you going to pick your mother? Your mother who takes care of you, who takes you to the doctor when you're sick. Your mother who buys your clothes and pays for them with her own money. Tell me right now, Marga Gomez, because if you want your father so much, then I can have another child. I took a long momentito to think about this. I looked into my corazon, and when that didn't work, I used my head and I said, you, Mom, I'm going to pick you. I'm sorry, Daddy. Did you hear that, Chela? A daughter wants to be with her mother, and that will never change. Never. Nunca. Nunca. That was a little of memory tricks. Now, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'm going to move into Lovebirds. And I just want to preface this with Lovebirds was in something like 2013, something like that. Had been in a relationship and with someone named Stephanie, but not Stephanie Wiseman, who I think would be a better idea. But anyway, I was brokenhearted. I was brokenhearted after this 6-year relationship ended, and I was also broke. And I ran into Stephanie. She said, how you doing? I gave her my sob story. She says, well, just write another show if you're broke. Write about being brokenhearted. I was like, okay. So this one, I decided last night, so I'm going to kind of stumble through it, and I hope that...
Marga, before you start, I think you should put your microphone down a little bit.
Oh, right? I'm so sorry about that.
No. It's just not too much.
How's this?
A little bit louder.
A little bit louder. Okay. I'm sorry. When I do my parents, they get loud. Okay. How's that?
I hope it's okay.
Producers?
It's just when you get loud, you start to vibrate.
I know. Oh, no. I shook the camera on purpose.
A little bit louder.
A little bit louder. All right. Just break in if it gets too loud. How about this?
Perfect.
How about that? Okay. All right. So this in Lovebirds, it's not one of the shows where I actually have direct address to the audience. I play various characters and they talk to the audience. And it begins in a kind of a fancy, stylish restaurant in the Village in New York. And the character is an older lady in New York. Her name's Polaroid Philly. Aloha, Lovebirds. How are you? Oh, are you on a date tonight? Oh, are you in love? You enjoying the dinner? How's the food here? I hear it's very good. I just come here to work. I've been coming to this place since forever. I like what they've done to it. I've been coming to this place since the 70s. No, the 1970s, you little smart asses. Yeah, it was not as fancy as it is now and half the size, but the ladies loved it because you see where you're sitting right now? This used to be a gay lady discotheque. Yeah, right over there was a disco ball, and then over there with 2 pool tables, and and over there, do you see that railing over there? Well, that was the singles wall. Yeah, that's where the fights happened. Oh, and all the feminine ladies would come to the club and in their sparkly dresses and their heels, and they'd be on the arms of their little butches in their little suits. I love those little butches. They had to fight twice as hard as the big butches, and where'd they get those little suits? Yeah, I worked here a lot, but it was hard to get pictures of the girls. I mean, I took pictures, but it was hard to get a smile out of the girls here at this ladies' gay club because it was the 70s. There was civil rights, there was gay rights, there was women's lib, but the lesbians kept getting screwed, and not by each other. Imagine, if you will, a singles wall. There's a girl. It's her first time at the gay bar. The first time at the gay bar. And coming up to her is a big butch. Woman, take me in your arms, rock you, baby. What's your name? Barbara. That's a beautiful name. Barbara, take me in your arms, rock you, baby. Barbara, can I ask you a question? Sagittarius? I thought so. I know people. I know the Sagittarius. I know you like to travel, and I know you like to say what's on your mind, and I know this is your first time at a gay lady discotheque. Am I that obvious? Yeah, I pass this place all the time on my way to NYU. I'm a women's studies major. Yeah, and it's so great. It's so great to be here, surrounded by women-loving women and empowerment. Turkey. Why do they call you Turkey? Funny story, Barbara, funny story. I was 13, it was Thanksgiving. And my cousin, he bet me that I could not eat the whole turkey. And I did. I won the bet. And that Thanksgiving, my whole family had potatoes. I love your long hair, Barbara. It's foxy. Don't you ever cut that Spanish girl hair. Oh, thanks, Turkey. But now that I'm a lesbian, I think I want to cut it all off. I want to get a tattoo and change my name and be a strong woman. Oh, girl, you could be strong and still look like a woman. What for? For me. Oh, just relax, Barbara, just relax. Everything's all right. I'll just do everything. Just lean into me, Barbara. Just lean into me like you're on a motorcycle. Have you ever been on a motorcycle? I got a motorcycle right outside. I ride real good, Barbara. You could ride with me. Barbara, let's get out of here. We'll get on my motorcycle and we'll go have breakfast. I know a place, Barbara, they make potato pancakes. Barbara, you want to do it? Okay, well, you know, I used to be scared of motorcycles, but now that I'm a lesbian, I can't wait. But we have to be to Queens by 4 a.m. or my father will worry. Don't worry. I'll get you home. I'll get you home in time. Your pops will be all right. Barbara, I want to tell you something. You got a beautiful smile. Can you smile for me again? Because I want to get a picture. That's my friend Polaroid, Philly, right there with the camera. Hang on. Yo, Philly! This is my new lady, Barbara. Take a picture. Cheese. I got a great shot that night. I got two lesbians to smile. Yeah. Oh, I'm not homosexual, but I've never been prejudiced. In my line of work as a professional nightclub photographer, I know that everybody is the same. Everybody's the same at night. Lonely, needy, and trying to pretend that they're okay. What's this? What's this? Well, this is my Polaroid camera. This is my money maker. Oh, this is how you get a real picture. Not like those cellular phones you use for photos. That's no way to cherish your memory. A love like yours deserves better. My Polaroid has soul from all the souls it has photographed. It's magic. I could take your picture right now, and voila, in a minute, it's in your hand, and you look at it, and you marvel, and you pass it to a friend, and they pass it to a friend, and you say, hold it by the edges. And then, some night, when you're lonely, you take out your Polaroid, see? You keep them in a box. That's what I do. And you look through them and you remember your life. You think, oh, she was so pretty. What'd she ever see in me? Oh, that bum. I can't believe I paid his rent. I should throw this in the garbage, but don't. Never, never throw away your Polaroids. Keep them. It's not hoarding. Recycle them or donate them to someone without a past. And that concludes my excerpt. That was Lovebirds. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm not going to do, thank you. Thanks. I'm not going to do the third excerpt because I'm at 8:00 and I don't want to. Well, if there's time, I'll do it later, but I know we've got some questions. You know, in the time I was waiting to go on, I started messing with my hair and I've gone through all my Crayolas.
What's a Crayola?
It's a crayon. That's the brand.
You mean you put crayon on your hair?
It was kind of a joke, but you know, that's the internet for you.
Speaking of jokes, I have a question. So like you and Josh, you come from the stand-up comedy genre into solo performance, and you both are such great solo performers. Did you kind of get a sense of, you know, like, well, you know why?
Wait, you just ended that. Do we know why?
You know, you're just so good as solo performer, and you go from that comedic, you come from stand-up comedy into solo performance.
Oh, yeah. Do I know why it's a natural progression? Is that what you're asking, Stephanie?
Yeah, I guess that's the question.
All right.
What's the natural progression?
A natural progression. Well, actually, it's not, because some people call themselves solo performers and they're just doing a stand-up act. And that's not cool to the rest of us, you know, who actually take risks and bare our souls, but whatever. But first of all, I want to say that whether it's a solo performance or a vaudeville act or stand-up, you know, people equate stand-up as comedy and everything else is, but it's all comedic, you know. So I guess storytelling is one of the ways to be a comedian. I mean, I'm trying to think of who does stand up and tell stories, and unfortunately, the person who comes to mind. Oh, I know who. Richard Pryor. So these are, you know, it's a lot of autobiographical stuff, and in there, there are moments that are just hilarious, and in a way, they're funnier and more memorable because they came from the heart, you know. So I think it's not. I think it is. There is a path from being a stand-up comic to being a solo performer. I do feel more identified as a solo performer and a storyteller than what is considered a stand-up comic today, which is very short-form jokes. You know, I just find that you know, it's just not how I work. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So when you do stand-up now, you're doing stories that are funny stories that are shorter than a solo performance. How are you differentiating?
Well, when I do stand-up, I really try to just minimize the amount of words. I mean, the stand-up is all, you know, the setup and punchline. And so I just, you know, you just try to reduce the amount of setup. I mean, I think when I started, I was always talking about who I am, because it was the 80s, and you know, not that there's not homophobia now, but it was rampant. It was, you know, AIDS had reared its horrible face, and so there was a community that you know, that wanted to hear. But now when I do stand up, I try to just go for the short form joke, and they're a little bit like math problems. I don't, you know, the topical. Oh, here's a joke that it's one of my shortest jokes. and actually was a Cinco de Mayo joke that I didn't get to tell on the Zoom show that I ran because there was too many buttons to push and too many people to take care of. But it's basically white people in sombreros. Deport them. And then a joke I used to tell on Cinco de Mayo was, wow, I went out for Cinco de Mayo. It was before the pandemic. The streets were so full. No Latinos, just blonde, blue-eyed people who didn't know the origins of the battle in Puebla, Mexico. They thought Cinco de Mayo is when Corona was invented. There's a shorter way to tell that one. But I felt I needed to throw in the history.
Thank you. Because we probably, I didn't even know the history. Woo!
Well, I used to like talk about Cinco de Mayo, and I thought it was pronounced Pueblo. So another show that I did, I think that I might have premiered at the Marsh was about how I'm assimilated and I'm a Latina who can't speak Spanish. Well, I started working on that at the Marsh. That was in 2009. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you learned Spanish yet?
Not really good enough. I mean, if I have to, but it's, I talk so slow and, to a real Spanish speaker, they have a tempo that's faster than how I talk. And so I feel like I'm slowing everybody down. However, non-Latino people love to practice Spanish on me.
Well, that is good.
It's Spanish harassment.
Well, yeah. So, okay. So what, I just guess you one question, then we're going to go to what you're doing in the quarantine. But what is the most memorable, maybe the most craziest thing that happened in your life?
Craziest thing that happened in my life? I don't know. I mean, there's so many, but there was one that I was thinking of recently that was pretty weird because I've been listening to a lot of true crime podcasts, and they go, if you have a story, it's like about, people who are maybe about to get their kidney, their organs taken away, and they thought they were going to get laid or something. And so for me, I think I mean, there's lots of weird things, but I think one of the strangest nights that ever happened to me in San Francisco, this was before pot was legal. But you always felt that it was legal. It was maybe in the 90s. And I went to this, I won't name, I probably had a business by now. It was a place called Cafe San Marcos. And it was like on Castro and Market, and you go upstairs. And I was just feeling great. And I had a little bit of a joint, like a roach. I guess I had smoked. That's why I was feeling great. I was high. And then I went to the bar upstairs. And usually I'm kind of shy. I don't really, unless people know I'm a performer and they like, whatever, they talk to me. I don't strike up conversations. And these two women next to me, they started talking to me. And then, I don't know, somehow I mentioned that I was stoned and I had a roach. And suddenly one of them, the littler one, she just started getting weird. And then she told me she was a cop and I was under arrest. And then she said, what do you do for a living? What's your name? I told her my name. She says, what do you do for a living? I go, I'm a comedian. She said, shut up. What do you do for a living? I was like, I'm a comedian. and then I stupidly, and also because I was, not in my right mind, she told me to come downstairs with her and she was going to bring me to jail. And then as we get to I don't know, the bus that we're going to take to jail, she wound up, let me see your wallet. She just took $20 out and she said, you better be careful, because I guess I'd offered her some of my roach, trying to be nice. Yeah.
Try to be nice. Look what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So how are you doing in this quarantine and what are you doing?
Well, it's kind of weird. I thought that I was going to be pretty inactive, and physically I am. Today was the first day that I did some exercise, because a month before the quarantine was called and I was working on Spanking Machine with my director, Adrian Alea, I sprained my ankle and pretty badly, and I didn't go to a doctor. So I just looked up YouTube tutorials on the ankle. And so I pretty much was inside, quarantined before the quarantine. Now the quarantine happens, the show, you know what it's like, Stephanie. You're ready for opening night and it doesn't happen. And that's all you can think about. And then, of course, the bigger picture emerged. And somehow I just started thinking right away, it's like, okay, I want my content. I want to connect to people. I want to write for an audience. I mean, I think that's the biggest part of not performing for an audience, but to have a goal. So I started thinking about different platforms online, like Patreon, where people can subscribe to your content. But I don't know, it seemed like they took a big chunk. And then I started hearing about stuff on Zoom. And so I think by March 21st, I actually put together my first Zoom show. I asked some comedian friends to be on it, and we learned that the audience sadly has to be muted because of the audio limitations on Zoom. Even if they're laughing, it sort of takes away, and I tried to train people, because I've done, since March 21st, I think I've done about 8 Zoom shows. My last one was Cinco de Mayo. We had 150 people. And I try to train them. It's like, laugh like this, ha, 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 like you're at a cocktail party, ha, 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 ha. And don't eat a sandwich next to the microphone. But you can't really. And then I get impatient. So now, yeah, people are muted mostly. And then what I do, I don't know if you do this, Stephanie, but at the end of a set, people who are muted have the option of pushing down the space bar and cheering. And I call it space bar love in my shows. So that's about the best that we can do with audience response. And, I've had to kind of nudge and nurse many comedians to feel comfortable just performing to the camera and trusting that people will connect. Because what happens after these shows, as you know, is that people are happy. I mean, right now you're looking at me, but when you click gallery view and you just see everybody, we've got 111 people here right now. That is amazing. We might have some people on YouTube, but when you're in the Zoom room, I think the best part of it is that you see other people. I live alone. That Stephanie, I never had another girlfriend after Stephanie. So I'm alone in every way. You know what I mean? I mean, sexually, my legs have been together longer than Aerosmith. Anyway, I probably got a little bit loud there. I'm really sorry if the mic. This is the first time I'm working with my lav. Usually I use a Shure, okay, a microphone. A handheld microphone, but I wanted to feel more like we're doing theater. So, but I'm, still.
Well, I think that sound thing I was talking about might have been my own computer. So sorry about that. Everybody else, they chatted. They said you were perfect.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope, also, Stephanie, and 111 people, and 112, whoever just joined, what were you doing? And do you notice my lighting? I set it up kind of with a little blue that way, and a little red this way. So, and then a bit of light. So since I've been doing Zoom, I've also been paying attention to what it looks like, for the audience, because you've been nailing it at the Marsh, but we all really have to kind of just know how to use this platform. Or if there's another platform that comes along where you can see people, you can Facebook Live, you can YouTube, but there's just something about seeing the other people in the room. You know what I mean?
No, and you are doing a great job. You look great. Your lighting looks great. Your little red light looks great. Your little pillow looks great. You are doing great.
Thanks. I did stage it. On the other side of this computer is the town dump, really. And that's what you should know. Stephanie, I don't know what's on the other side of your computer, but people, you don't want to know what's on the other side of the computer. That's all I can say.
Exactly.
This is ideally what I want the rest of my apartment to look like.
It's tough, though. It's tough, especially when you're so busy doing shows.
Busy.
So, I think people would really like, and then we'll take questions. They would help do a little of the spanking machine. Would you mind? Just do a little. I think people would like it. And
Really?
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Um, Also, I have actually an in real, because all my work is gone, right? So I have to try to just, cobble something together online. But I actually got a real life booking, mid-September at San Diego Rep. They're just thinking it's going to happen. So it's just really cool that Spanking Machine got into the festival. And also, if I can just mention, I will be hosting the Our Family Coalition benefit on Friday or Saturday, the 15th or the 16th. I'll put it on my website, margagomez.com. All right, a little bit of Spanking Machine. And I think I've done this excerpt. This is like my this is the one that I know for sure. This Spanking Machine actually came about after I told myself and even announced after Latin Standards, which the last performances were at the Marsh in was it November of 2019, and I said, well, that's my last solo show, and then I got this email from a childhood friend that I had lost touch with. I thought he had died. He was, we were both in Catholic school in Washington Heights in the 60s, and we were both little gay closet cases and didn't know. So this Spanking Machine it happened because I got this email on margagomez.com. And then I started talking to my friend Christina Garcia, and she said, you should write about this. I was like, but I'm not doing any more one-person shows. So I am. It's my 13th. Okay. His name, well, he went by Scotty. And he went by Scotty, but his real name was Agamemnon Perez Jr. But he went by Scotty because he felt Agamemnon sounded too Cuban. Scotty was the first kid in my school, Immaculate Conception in Manhattan, to ever be sent to the Spanking Machine. We had a sadistic nun. I know that's redundant, but her name was Sister Kevin Williams, and she had a kink. That was really her name, Sister Kevin Williams. And she had a kink, and she liked to swing little boys around by their necktie for any reason whatsoever. And on this day, Scotty gave her a reason. He sassed Sister Kevin Williams. He said, I don't remember what started it, but he said to her, Sister, you're just jealous. And Sister Kevin Williams came for him. She came for him with all her might, and she grabbed his tie and she pulled it with such force. But on this day, Scotty was wearing a clip-on. It took 4 children to get Sister Kevin Williams back up to her feet. She was a hot mess. We could see a little hair coming out of her wimple. We didn't even know nuns had hair. And she got herself together and she said, Agamemnon Perez Jr., it's time for you to go to the Spanking Machine. Now, ever since first grade, this was 3rd grade, but ever since 1st grade, we'd all been threatened with a visit to the Spanking Machine, but none of us had ever seen it except in our nightmares. None of us kids saw Scotty for the rest of the day. We didn't know if he was alive or dead. And finally, we saw him after school in the schoolyard, and he looked different. He looked like a man. He looked like a legend. And all of us kids were circling him like paparazzi and asking him questions. Agamemnon, is the Spanking Machine like Sister says? Agamemnon, is it like a chair? Is the Spanking Machine like a chair? Do they strap you in? Agamemnon, how fast does it go? Does it go like choo, choo, or does it go like Agamemnon, does the Spanking Machine have sticks or little hands? He waved them all away. And he said, I can't talk about the Spanking Machine today. You don't want to know. You don't want to ever go there. And my name isn't Agamemnon, it's Scotty. And then he looked over their heads and saw me, the tallest girl in third grade. I was growing so fast in third grade. I had a growth spurt. At the rate I was growing, I'd be 6 feet tall today with a basketball career. But I was afraid in third grade that I would get too tall to get a husband. So I willed myself to stop growing. I'm the same height now as I was in third grade, and perfect for Scotty to see me and say, Margaret, where have you been all my life? Nobody had ever called me Margaret before. It wasn't my name. But when Scotty called me Margaret, a name as plain as Marga is Latina, Margaret, an American name, I found myself Margaret, a forgettable name, perfect for my new life as Scotty's partner in crime. That's a little excerpt from the spanking machine. Thank you.
Hey, can we sit? Can we let everybody unmute it so Margaret can hear her?
Oh yeah, spacebar love,
nice
please.
person, and she's, I mean, she gets my sense of humor and stuff like that, but so she doesn't, she's not very,
Bravo!
she works at UC Berkeley,
Hey,
patent.
I don't know who's working at
She
UC
works on
Berkeley, but when you're talking to each other, we can hear that. It's kind of crazy.
biological and viral patents.
You want to have a conversation with
Where
each other?
UC Berkeley is working on
yourself.
some,
Let's see. Okay. So Marga, let's open this up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Marga? I can't hear Marga. Marga's muted.
Good for her.
There.
Okay, please, everyone, be unmuted. But just remember, when you start talking to each other, this isn't a television set; it's a person. Okay, does that make sense?
It makes sense, and I hope we all have it now.
Can I get a cheer on that, and we can start all over?
Yeah.
reactions.
Yay!
Yay! Ask her on Saturday.
Okay, let's get everybody.
So he would have had to. I think she's been at this.
Marga.
The ropes.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Is that you?
No, it sure isn't me.
I thought perhaps you'd become a percussionist.
No, it's always like just, one or two people in the group that just don't quite understand what the audio is.
Yeah, well, I think maybe she didn't know she wasn't unmuted. Sorry. But anyway, let's open this up. Does anyone, we have a few minutes left. Does anyone have any questions for Marga? Marga the Magnificent. Wave your hand. Producers. Maybe there's no questions, Marga.
Okay, well.
Wait, there's somebody.
I'm going to gallery view so I can see the hands. Oh, I see Joanne Lulin. Oh my gosh. I see Joanne Lulin.
Hi.
Hi, Joanne.
It was wonderful tonight. Thank you so much. What a lift we've all had.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to see you. You were, you're such a comrade and everything that, we just came up together. I mean, you're actually kind of famous first, but you did so many great things for women and for the queer community and for the wellness community. So thank you, Joanne.
Well, it was so great. And I remember I was at your first show at the Marsh, and then in the chat, somebody talked about Valencia Rose, which I'd totally forgotten about, and saw you there as well. So this is, a whole new way to see you, and it was wonderful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Valencia Rose is, trying to think. Yeah, so that predated the Marsh, and that's really where I started doing comedy. It was a I think they called it a queer club even back then because they felt that sexuality was revolutionary, and it didn't really matter who you slept with as long as you understood that we need social justice and everyone needs equality, and laughter and music and Cole Porter songs. So that's where I started performing. Whoopi Goldberg came out of there. Jane Dornacker came out of there, and we went on, and Margaret Cho. They moved on to the Josies after they left that space. Yeah, great.
So thank you. Does Catherine Lewis have a question? Did she raise your hand?
Yeah, Marga.
Hi, Catherine.
Incredible. Listen, you don't remember me, but you started out, there was another woman,
Monica Palacios.
Monica. Anyway, I chickened out and became a psychotherapist. The rest is history. But I've done some solo stuff, and I wonder, it's really hard to find women to work with. You know, there's David Ford and all these, you know, Charlie. But do you teach one-on-one or?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking me that. Yes. I actually am going to get back to teaching. You know, I didn't know how to do stuff online, but since the pandemic, you know, with Zoom, I actually will start teaching solo performance and storytelling. So if you go to my website, I haven't posted it yet. I need to update my website tonight, but I will be doing small group classes on Zoom and then individual coaching on Zoom.
Fabulous.
Perhaps Skype if I can figure it out.
Fabulous. And for those people like me that missed a lot of your shows, don't even ask me where I've been. How might we recapture seeing the retrospect of your shows?
Well, another great question, because that is my plan. While we are basically sheltering in place, while people are just slowly re-entering businesses and theaters and gatherings and all that, I'm again looking for a way to. I do have work that's on video, but I kind of also want to perform it live from the scripts. I think that I'm kind of set up with this microphone, the lighting, and so on.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm going to do it that way, and also make the videos because I have videos. I even have a video. I think I found Memory Tricks. I mean, it's all weird, but from the Public Theater. I think I have that. So I have quite a few videos in Marga's vault.
You have a great audience here wanting to hear you, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's 8:29 now. So it's getting a little late. We have to move on. But
can I mention my website one more time is margagomez.com, and you can sign the mailing list and write to me there if there's any questions.
Okay. So, you know, next week we're having Tina D'Elia doing, who is supposed to be opening Overlooked Latinas.
Oh, yeah.
Doing this next week. Do you know Tina?
Oh, yeah. She's a sweetheart, really talented. Mary Guzman is her director. Yeah, that's going to be a great show here. I see Trinity behind you. Yeah, that's definitely don't miss that. So she's going to actually perform Overlooked Latinas?
No, I'm going to be interviewing her because this was the week she was supposed to open. So figuring we should really have her on and talk to her and let her do parts of it. And then we can figure out, you know, what ways we can do things live, because we don't know how long it's going to take to get theaters back open again.
I didn't want to say it, Stephanie, but yeah.
So we gotta keep doing it. I'm so glad we're doing this MarshStream, and we're here 7 nights a week. And this week we're having a weekend. You can see Josh Kornbluth's Love and Taxes, which is a movie. Next week you can see Don Reed and Kate Robards doing live work on the weekend, as well as all our other shows. Support our tip jar, support Marga, support us all. We support you. We love you. Thank you so much for coming to MarshStream. I hope to see you again soon. Right, Marga?
Absolutely. And this was kind of like seeing you, but yeah, no, I want to hug you. That's it.
Hug you, Marga. We all want to. Thank you so much, Marga Gomez, for doing this with us tonight.
Thank you all very much. I feel so good about this. Thank you.